Rain hammered the glass walls of the rooftop terrace, turning Manhattan into a smear of neon and shadow. Wind clawed at Evelyn Rockefeller's hair and dress as she stood at the very edge, fingers numb around the cold metal railing. Behind her, stilettos clicked on wet stone. "Evelyn, stop being so dramatic." Cecilia White's voice floated over, soft and sugar-sweet. "You were never meant for this world anyway." Evelyn turned slowly. Cecilia's pastel dress was half soaked by the storm, dark hair plastered to her cheeks, but her smile stayed flawless. In her hand, she held a thin folder wrapped in plastic, like something precious that could not be allowed to get wet. Nicholas Gray stood at her shoulder, umbrella tilted just enough to protect Cecilia, not Evelyn. The man Evelyn had once called her fiancé looked at her now with bored impatience, dark eyes cold, jaw set in practiced indifference. "Cecilia, please." Evelyn's voice shook as thunder rolled overhead. "We can talk about this. You do not have to do this." Cecilia's smile brightened. "But I do. I really, really do." She lifted the folder, shaking it so the plastic crinkled. "Death certificates, inheritance documents, bank statements, everything your dear parents tried so hard to hide from you." She took a step closer, heels somehow steady on slick stone. "Do you know what I realized, standing in your house all these years?" Cecilia asked softly. "I realized money looks better on me than it ever did on you." Nicholas's fingers tightened on Cecilia's shoulder. "Sign the transfer papers, Evelyn," he said. "Hand over your shares in Rockefeller Holdings. We sell what is left, we all walk away alive. That is your best deal." Lightning flashed, catching the metal cuff on his wrist, the engraved ring on his hand. The ring she had given him on their anniversary. Evelyn's chest burned. "You killed them," she whispered. "My parents took you in, trusted you, and you killed them for money." Nicholas's jaw ticked. Cecilia only tilted her head, eyes bright with a manic light. "Correction," Cecilia said. "We had them killed. Outsourcing is just good business." She leaned in, breath warm and poisonous against Evelyn's ear. "You were supposed to fall too that night, you know. But you did not. You held on. You survived." Her voice dropped lower. "I do not like loose ends." Evelyn staggered back until the railing pressed into her spine. Rain soaked through her dress, freezing her skin, but the cold could not compare to the ice that spread through her veins. "You will not get away with this," she rasped. "If I die, I swear I will drag you both down with me." Cecilia's lashes fluttered in mock sympathy. "Oh, Eve. Sweet, stupid Eve. Everyone already thinks you are unstable, depressed, under pressure, a tragic heiress on the edge. When the security footage shows you jumping?" She smiled wider. "Who is going to question the story?" Thunder cracked. For a heartbeat, the city turned white. Nicholas stepped forward, closing the distance between them. His cologne, once familiar and comforting, now made her want to vomit. "Last chance," he said quietly. "Sign the papers, and maybe you live long enough to disappear somewhere and start over as nobody." Evelyn stared at him, at the man who had kissed her forehead and promised forever, and finally saw him clearly. Greed had hollowed him out long ago. Every soft word, every patient smile, had been a calculated investment. "No," she said. Her voice came out small, but it did not shake. "I would rather die than give you anything." Something in Nicholas's eyes snapped. He turned away with a curse. "Cecilia, I am done." Cecilia's smile vanished. For the first time, her eyes hardened, like the glass of a broken perfume bottle. "Then die it is," she said softly. Her hand slammed into Evelyn's shoulder. For one stunned second Evelyn thought she might still be able to grab the railing. Her fingers clawed at the air, catching nothing. The world fell out from beneath her as she pitched backward over the edge. The sky flipped. The howling wind became a scream in her ears. Neon and glass twisted into streaks of color as her body tore through the air. Somewhere above, Cecilia's laugh cut through the thunder, bright and delighted. "Bye, sister." The last thing Evelyn saw was the glow of the city, cold and distant, as if the entire world watched and did nothing. Then there was only impact and darkness. She woke to music and applause. For a moment she thought this must be hell, because nothing hurt. There was no crushing pressure in her chest, no broken bones grinding, no blood flooding her throat. Just the faint, expensive scent of perfume and champagne, lights glowing warm through her closed lids. Then someone called her name. "Evelyn, come on, birthday girl, do not hide up here." Her eyes flew open. She was not lying on cold pavement. She was sitting on a velvet chaise in the upstairs lounge of the Rockefeller mansion, the crystal chandelier overhead scattering soft golden light across the ceiling. Her heart slamming against her ribs, Evelyn pushed herself up and stumbled to the nearest mirror. A 17-year-old girl stared back at her, No bruises, no blood, no broken glass in her hair, no smeared mascara from rain and tears. Her dark hair fell in glossy waves over a pale pink dress, her makeup soft and youthful, shoulders bare and unmarked. Her reflection did not look like someone who had just fallen from a rooftop. She looked like someone whose biggest worry was picking a college. "This is impossible," Evelyn whispered. She grabbed the edge of the vanity table and squeezed until her knuckles turned white. Her fingers trembled. The last thing she remembered was falling, dying, and then music swelled from downstairs, loud and bright. Laughter, the clink of glasses, the murmur of wealthy guests, all achingly familiar. A knock sounded at the door. "Evelyn?" A girl's gentle voice. "Can I come in?" Every nerve in Evelyn's body went rigid. She knew that voice. She had heard it whisper lies, beg for forgiveness, scream her name as security dragged her away in handcuffs. Cecilia White. Evelyn's gaze locked on the door handle as it turned. The girl who stepped inside wore a pale blue dress, her hair curled in soft waves, a ribbon tied at the back of her neck. She carried 2 champagne flutes and a practiced, harmless smile. "Happy 17th birthday," Cecilia said warmly. "Everyone is waiting. Nicholas especially." The room swayed for a second. 17. Her parents were still alive. The family business was not yet under investigation. The board had not yet turned against them. No one had died. She was 1 year away from the night that had destroyed everything. Evelyn's lungs burned as she sucked in a breath. Her chest ached, not from physical pain, but from a tidal wave of rage and grief flooding straight through her. She had been thrown off a rooftop by the girl now standing in her doorway. She had died. And now she was back. Cecilia took a step closer, extending one of the flutes. "Here, I found the good champagne. I thought you might need it before your big speech." Evelyn stared at the glass, then at Cecilia's perfect, smiling face. In her last life, she had taken the drink and thanked her. She had smiled for photos. She had clung to the lie of sisterhood until it crushed her. This time, something inside her snapped. She knocked the glass from Cecilia's hand. Liquid sprayed across the carpet. The crystal flute shattered, shards scattering like tiny diamonds around Cecilia's heels. The girl froze, eyes wide. Evelyn grabbed the second glass and flung the red champagne straight into Cecilia's face. Cecilia gasped, stumbling back as the cold liquid soaked her curls, smeared her mascara, stained her pale blue dress like blood across silk. "What are you doing?" Cecilia choked out. "Evelyn, are you crazy?" Evelyn's voice came out low and clear, every word edged with steel. "Get out of my room," she said. "And stay away from me, you poisonous snake." For the first time since she had reappeared in Evelyn's life, Cecilia forgot to act. Shock flashed naked and ugly across her features, before she smoothed them over with trembling hands. Downstairs, conversation faltered. Heads turned toward the staircase as raised voices drifted from above. Nicholas appeared in the doorway, brows knitted. He wore the same dark suit he had worn on her 17th birthday in her last life, tie perfectly knotted, smile rehearsed and charming. "Evelyn, what is going on?" he demanded. "People can hear you downstairs." Evelyn turned to face him slowly. Her heart pounded. The last time she had seen him alive, he was being shoved into a police car in handcuffs, his smug composure finally shattered. She had watched him through the crowd and felt nothing. Now he stood here, untouched by consequence. Calm, handsome, a predator in a well-tailored suit. "Nothing is going on," Evelyn said. "Except this." She lifted her chin. "Our engagement," she said quietly, "is over." Nicholas stared at her as though she had spoken another language. "What did you just say?" "You heard me." Evelyn took a step closer, feeling the weight of every guest downstairs, every whisper, every shocked glance. Her pulse thudded in her ears, but her voice did not waver. "I am calling off the engagement. I want nothing from you. No ring, no promises, no lies." The word hung in the air like the crack of a gunshot. Cecilia's fingers dug into Nicholas's arm. "Evelyn, do not say things you do not mean. You have been under so much pressure. Your parents." "Leave my parents out of your mouth," Evelyn snapped. "You are a guest in this house, Cecilia. Do not forget that." Cecilia flinched, cheeks flushing, eyes shining with unshed tears that were almost convincing. Nicholas's expression darkened. "Has something happened?" he asked, voice dropping. "Did someone say something to you? Is this about the board meeting? We can handle that. You and I together, we always." "You and I never handled anything together," Evelyn interrupted. "I just did not see it before, but I do now." She let her gaze pass over both of them, letting her disgust show. Rain beat against the windows behind her, a muffled roar like distant applause. In 1 year, she said softly, everything you think you are about to win is going to collapse on your heads. I will make sure of it. They stared at her, stunned. She smiled, slow and sharp. So, Nicholas, for the last time, we are done. Downstairs, someone started clapping, thinking it was part of a speech. Laughter followed, oblivious. On the second-floor landing, beneath the glittering chandelier and the watching portraits of her ancestors, Evelyn Rockefeller made herself a silent vow. She would not be the girl begging for mercy on a rooftop ever again. This time, the game would be hers. The fallout from the broken engagement hit the next morning. Manhattan's society pages exploded. Headlines screamed about the Rockefeller heiress, who had dumped her fiancé at her own birthday party, about a shattered ring, a scene on the staircase, whispered rumors of a nervous breakdown. Evelyn read every word at the breakfast table, a half-eaten croissant turning cold on her plate. Her parents' faces were tight with worry and embarrassment, but they did not yell. That, more than anything, made her chest ache. Her father folded the newspaper with a sharp snap. Eve, he said, struggling for patience, we talked about this cross-family alliance for years. You knew what the engagement meant for the company, for our stability. If you were unhappy, you could have spoken to us before making a scene in front of everyone. I am not having a breakdown, Evelyn said quietly, and I am not sorry I ended it. Her mother reached across the table and squeezed her hand. You have every right to end an engagement, she said, shooting her husband a look. You are 17, not a bargaining chip. Relief flickered through Evelyn. Some things, at least, had not changed. Her mother had always tried to protect her, even when cornered by the board, by debt, by her own soft heart. If only Evelyn had listened sooner in her last life. I just wish you had done it privately, her mother added with a wince. My timing will get better, Evelyn said. I promise. Her father sighed, rubbed his forehead, and changed the subject to quarterly reports. He did not know he was 1 year away from a scandal that would brand him a criminal, from a fall orchestrated by the very people he had invited to share their table. Evelyn did. And she was done waiting for disaster. The transformation started small. She changed her schedule. Instead of drifting through the school day, and then spending her evenings scrolling through social media, or going to charity events, she carved out hours for studying, reading, and something no heiress was ever supposed to care about: investing. At first, her classmates thought her new routine was a phase. The girl who used to arrive late with coffee in hand now sat in the front row, taking notes with a focus that made teachers blink. Instead of sneaking out with Nicholas to rooftop bars after school, she stayed in the library until closing, laptop open, eyes flicking between textbooks and stock charts. Her grades climbed, then soared. By midterms, her name appeared at the top of the ranking sheet in bold black letters. Evelyn Rockefeller, #1 in the entire school. Directly below her, just 1 point lower, sat Cecilia White. Wow, Lily Carter said when the rankings were pinned to the bulletin board. She whistled, long and low. Look at you, Queen. I would bow, but I am holding coffee. Evelyn accepted the extra cup Lily had brought her, and took a grateful sip. The familiar taste grounded her. You are still in the top 10, Evelyn said. That is impressive. Top 10 is where I live, Lily replied. I work for my grades, unlike some people. Her gaze slid pointedly to Cecilia, who stood a few feet away, her face carefully composed as she stared at the ranking sheet. Cecilia laughed lightly when one of her friends squealed in shock. It is fine. Evelyn has been working really hard lately. I am happy for her. The words were perfect. The tone was perfect. The slight quiver in her lashes, the way her lip trembled at the corners, made her look like someone trying very, very hard to be gracious while hiding her hurt. It was a performance, a good one. In Evelyn's last life, she had apologized, flustered and guilty, for stealing Cecilia's spot. This time, she met Cecilia's eyes and smiled back, cool and steady. Thank you, she said. I am happy for me too. A tiny crack showed in Cecilia's poise before she smoothed it over. By the time the midterm awards ceremony rolled around, gossip had exploded. People whispered about how Evelyn had gone from a distracted socialite to a relentless overachiever, how she seemed sharper, colder, different. Rumors flew that it was heartbreak, a desperate attempt to cope with dumping Nicholas. Others insisted she was trying to prove to the board that she deserved her shares. Evelyn did not care what story they chose. As long as no one looked deeper, she was fine. The auditorium smelled like floor polish and cheap perfume. Banners in the school colors hung from the rafters. A board principal read names from a list while flashes burst from parents' phones. First place in the senior year rankings, with a near-perfect score, his voice droned, then brightened. Evelyn Rockefeller. Polite applause scattered through the room, mixed with a few surprised murmurs. Evelyn stood and walked down the aisle, the heels of her shoes tapping out the rhythm of her new life. She took the certificate from the principal with a polite smile, then accepted the microphone he offered her. "Would you like to say a few words?" he asked. In her previous life, she had squeaked out a sentence of thanks and rushed back to her seat. Now she curled her fingers around the microphone and turned toward the crowd. "I know some people are surprised to see my name at the top," she said, her voice carrying clearly. "I used to think being born into a powerful family meant I did not have to try so hard, that everything would always be given to me." She let that confession hang in the air, aware of the way the younger students leaned forward, curious. "But the world does not care what name you were born with," Evelyn continued. "It cares what you can do, how you show up when no one is watching. And I plan to show up." She smiled faintly. "So if anyone is interested in forming a study group, or learning about investing for teens, I will be booking the small conference room in the library after school every Thursday. Bring your questions and your coffee." A ripple of surprise moved through the audience. That was not the speech of a girl who planned to coast on her last name. From the second row, Cecilia's carefully composed smile wavered. After the ceremony, Evelyn stood near the stage, accepting congratulations. Several students approached her with shy questions about her invitation, eyes bright with interest. As she spoke with them, she noticed a man in a dark suit sitting in the back of the auditorium. He was older than the students, but too young to be a teacher, with an air that did not belong in a high school at all. Sharp cheekbones, dark hair, expression bored and faintly amused. He watched her for a moment, eyes narrowed thoughtfully, then rose and slipped out a side door. Evelyn's heart stuttered. Aries Morgan. In her last life, she had only truly noticed him when it was too late. Rumors had swirled around the Morgan heir-turned-ruthless negotiator, about the way he could make or break companies with a single meeting. He had been there, in the shadows of her worst days, quietly offering information, help, a lifeline she had been too blind to see. She had pushed him away, convinced by Nicholas and Cecilia that he was using her family's downfall to his advantage. Now he had shown up early. That meant the board's conflict with the Morgan Group was closer than she remembered. The timeline was shifting, just a little, in response to her new choices. An uneasy thrill ran through her. This was her warning. The future was not a script she could simply replay, it was clay, soft under pressure, capable of new shapes. "Hello, Evelyn?" Lily waved a hand in front of her face. "Earth to Rockefeller. You spaced out hard. Was my speech that boring?" Evelyn blinked, then smiled. "Your speech was fine," she said. "I was just thinking." "About what? Grades? Stocks? Destroying your enemies?" "Yes," Evelyn said simply. "All of the above." Lily snorted. "You know I have got your back, right? Whatever weird plan you are cooking up in that scary pretty head of yours, I am in." Evelyn's chest tightened. In her last life, Lily had been dragged into the fire just for standing beside her. Cecilia had whispered poisonous rumors, Nicholas had planted evidence, and Lily had been branded a liar and expelled. She had died in a car accident a month later. This time, Evelyn promised herself, Lily would not pay for her loyalty with her life. "I know you are in," Evelyn said softly. "That is why I am going to make sure you live long enough to regret it." Lily grinned. "Dark. I like it." The first time Evelyn made money from her own trades, it felt like breathing air after drowning. She sat in her bedroom late that night, laptop open, the glow of the screen washing her face in pale light. Red and green numbers scrolled past. She tracked each one with the precision of someone who had watched entire fortunes rise and fall. She remembered which companies had exploded in the next year, which tech startup would be bought out at triple its current value, which healthcare firm would skyrocket after a successful drug trial. Armed with that knowledge, she placed careful, limited trades using a small inheritance account in her name, one her parents had forgotten about beneath their larger assets. She watched the numbers climb. A slow smile curved her lips. She was not ready to move billions yet, but she did not need to, not at the beginning. She needed seed money, quiet, clean, entirely under her control. Within 3 months, her tiny account had doubled, then tripled. She funneled the profits into safer funds and a trust her parents did not monitor, building a war chest one trade at a time. While the world gossiped about the broken engagement and speculated about her mental health, Evelyn Rockefeller sat alone in her room, turning her second chance into capital. She studied business case files, corporate law, forensic accounting. She mapped connections between board members, rival companies, and the shadowy private equity firms that would later swoop in like vultures when Rockefeller Holdings stumbled. Each page she read was a weapon she slipped into her arsenal. Cecilia still came by her room sometimes, tray of tea in hand, concern painted on her face. "You are working too hard," Cecilia would say. "You do not look well. You should talk to Nicholas. He still cares about you. He is worried." Evelyn would look up from her laptop and smile blandly. "That is sweet," she would say. "Tell him I am too busy succeeding to miss him." Cecilia's fingers would tighten almost imperceptibly around the tray, but the mask never slipped for long. The first time Cecilia tried to accuse Evelyn of cheating on a test, standing up in class with a trembling voice and big, wounded eyes, Evelyn did not panic. Instead, she stood too. "If you think I cheated, let us prove it," Evelyn said calmly. "Right now, I will retake the exam in front of the whole class. You can sit next to me and watch." The teacher hesitated. The class buzzed with excitement. Cecilia's trap was supposed to humiliate Evelyn, to plant doubt, not to be challenged outright. Evelyn held the teacher's gaze. "You always say this school values integrity. I am willing to defend mine." Under the weight of 30 watching students, the teacher finally nodded. "Fine. After class, both of you stay behind." An hour later, Evelyn slid her completed test across the desk without breaking a sweat. Cecilia's paper, on the other hand, was filled with crossed-out answers and smudged pencil where panic had undone her composure. The teacher graded them in front of them, lips pursed. Evelyn scored higher than her first attempt. Cecilia did not. When they walked out, whispers followed them down the hallway. "Guess the princess actually did study," someone muttered. "And guess the saint is not so perfect," someone else replied. That night, Cecilia stood in the hallway outside Evelyn's room, nails digging into her palms, eyes burning with hatred Evelyn had never been allowed to see before. Inside, Evelyn smiled at her spreadsheet of growing profits. It was not enough. Not yet. But piece by piece, class by class, trade by trade, she was building something new. In 1 year, the world would try to destroy her family. This time, when the storm hit, she would not be standing at the edge of a roof with empty hands. She would be holding the knife. The warning came on a gray Thursday, buried among mundane notifications on Evelyn's phone. She sat in the library conference room after school, whiteboard covered in formulas behind her, study group dismissed for the day. Lily sprawled in a chair, chewing on a pen cap. "Last problem set done," Lily declared. "My brain is officially soup." "What are you working on now, evil mastermind?" "Checking something," Evelyn murmured. Her phone buzzed again. 3 emails from her brokerage account, 2 from the family office, 1 from an unknown address with a single line of text in the preview. "You are being watched." Her pulse jumped. She opened the brokerage app first. Her safe positions were untouched, but one account, a small, more aggressive one she had opened recently, flashed an alert. "Unauthorized login attempt detected." "Lily," Evelyn said slowly, "did you ever give anyone my email?" Lily blinked. No. Pretty sure I would remember handing your private info to strangers." "Why?" "No reason." Evelyn forced a smile and locked her screen. She opened the email from the unknown sender next. "Someone has tried to breach one of your trading accounts through a compromised device on your home network," the message read. "This is not a random attack. It is traceable." A second later, a file appeared in her inbox. Network logs, IP addresses, a route that started in the Rockefeller mansion and traveled outward to a cheap hotel across town. Attached below was a screenshot of a text conversation. "Cecilia, are you sure she will not find out?" Unknown, relax. We will bury the transfer under other activity. "Cecilia, I just need to know how much she has. Nicholas says she has been acting strange lately." Lily whistled low when Evelyn showed her the screen. "Your fake sister has been busy. Who sent you this?" Evelyn scrolled to the bottom of the email. There was no signature, just a logo she recognized from business news segments. A sharp, stylized M in dark blue. Morgan Group. Her throat tightened. In her last life, she had ignored the first anonymous warning messages, convinced they were traps. By the time she realized they were not, the damage had already been done. "Not this time." "Lily," Evelyn said, pushing back her chair. "I need to go. Now." "Go where?" "To stop my life from catching fire early." The Rockefeller mansion felt wrong the moment she walked through the front door. Too quiet. No music. No faint chatter from the kitchen. The staff had vanished, which meant someone had sent them away. Her parents were supposed to be at a charity gala. Nicholas had texted earlier, demanding a meeting, which she had ignored. Cecilia had been sick and absent from school, which was never a good sign. Evelyn stepped out of her shoes and moved silently down the hallway, heart pounding. She heard voices before she saw them. "I told you to hurry," Cecilia hissed from the study. She could be home any minute. "I am going as fast as I can," a male voice snapped back. "Do you have any idea how many firewalls this network has? Your princess sister might be an idiot emotionally, but someone on her staff knows what they are doing." Evelyn edged closer and peered through the cracked door. A strange man in a hoodie sat at her father's desk. Laptop open. Several USB drives plugged into the tower beneath. Code scrolled across the screen. Network maps blinked red and green. Cecilia paced behind him, biting her thumbnail. "Just get me the numbers," she said. "I need proof she has money on the side. Nicholas is sure she is hiding something. Once we know how much, we can." She trailed off. Evelyn pushed the door all the way open. "Once you know how much, you can what?" she asked. The stranger jumped. Cecilia spun around, going pale. "Evelyn," she breathed. "You are home early." "Clearly." Evelyn stepped inside and closed the door behind her. Her mind raced. Calling security would create a scene. Calling her parents would tip Cecilia off too soon. She needed information first. She glanced at the laptop screen. Her brokerage logo blinked in the corner. Login fields open. A progress bar halfway through bypassing a security question. "You hired a hacker to break into my account," Evelyn said, keeping her voice level. "In my house. On my father's system." "It is not like that," Cecilia said quickly. "I was just saving evidence for Nicholas," Evelyn supplied. "In case you need to convince him I am unstable and irresponsible." "Again?" Cecilia flinched. The hacker, sensing the shift in the room, snapped his laptop shut and yanked out the drives. "I am done here," he muttered. He made it 2 steps toward the door before it opened inward, slamming into him. He staggered back, colliding with the bookcase. A man in a dark suit stepped into the study as if he owned it. He did not look surprised to find illegal activity underway. He looked mildly annoyed, as though someone had spilled coffee on his shoes. "Good afternoon," Aries Morgan said. "Apologies for dropping in uninvited. Your security system is easier to bypass than your father believes." Cecilia's eyes went wide. "Who are you?" "Someone you should not have tried to out-hack," he replied calmly. He nodded toward the hacker. "You have 3 seconds to leave without your equipment, or I call the police and have you arrested for trespassing and attempted fraud." 1, 2. The man bolted, nearly tripping over his own feet as he scrambled out of the room. The study fell silent. Cecilia's gaze darted between Evelyn and Aries, calculating, fearful. "You cannot prove anything," she blurted. "I was just." Aries lifted one hand. "Do not finish that sentence," he advised. "You are not as good at lying as you think you are, Miss White. The more you say right now, the more evidence you give me." Cecilia blanched. "I suggest you leave," he added. "But this is my house," Cecilia protested. "No," Evelyn said quietly. "It is mine." For a second, their eyes locked. The cheerfully helpless mask Cecilia had worn cracked to reveal the rage beneath. "This is not over," she whispered. "I hope not," Evelyn replied. "Because I am just getting started." Cecilia spun on her heel and stormed out. The door closed behind her with a sharp click. Silence settled again, broken only by the faint hum of electronics. Evelyn turned to Aries Morgan. He had not changed much from the man she remembered from her last life. Early 20s but carrying himself with an ease that made older executives uneasy. Dark hair, expensive suit, expression set in a line that could pass for bored in polite company, but was really just control. "I should call security," Evelyn said. "You should fire whoever set up your home network," Aries countered. "And then thank me." She crossed her arms. "For what? Breaking into my house? Reading my emails? For stopping your stepsister from draining your account and leaving a trail that would have pointed to you." He pulled a USB drive from his pocket and held it up between 2 fingers. "I traced the intrusion back to this workstation," he said. "Recorded everything. Your hacker friend was sloppy. Cecilia even used the guest Wi-Fi. Rookie mistake." Evelyn stared at the little device as if it were a live grenade. "In my last meeting with your father," Aries went on, "I mentioned that someone on his team might be leaking information. He did not want to hear it. Board loyalty and all that." He studied her, eyes sharp. "You, on the other hand, seem more flexible." Evelyn swallowed. In her previous life, she had dismissed him as a vulture circling her family's troubles. Now she saw him differently. Not as a savior she had no intention of trading one puppet master for another, but as someone whose goals aligned with hers for the moment. He wanted his investments protected. She wanted her future back. And what do you want in return for that drive? She asked. Aries' mouth curved, a hint of a smile flickering across his lips. A conversation, he said. Some honesty. Maybe a partnership, if we decide we can tolerate each other. Evelyn hesitated. She had promised herself she would not trust anyone easily in this new life, but she also knew going to war alone was suicide. Fine, she said. We can talk. He gestured to the chairs in front of the desk. She did not sit. Neither did he. I know you ended your engagement, Aries said. Bold move. Sloppy in execution, but bold. You must have known that would rattle your board, not just your family. I am not a bargaining chip, Evelyn said. If they are rattled, good. And now your stepsister is trying to prove you are irresponsible with money, he continued. To undermine your credibility. Yes. Which means she and whoever is backing her are planning something bigger. Also yes. I am collecting my own evidence, Evelyn said. This just accelerates the schedule. Aries' gaze sharpened. You are not surprised, he observed. No wide-eyed horror, no disbelief. It is almost like you expected all of this. Evelyn's throat went dry. Do not read too much into it. He did not push. Instead, he placed the USB on the desk between them. You are going to need more than networks and test scores, he said. The people you are up against will not hesitate to use the law, the media, and the market against you. They will paint you as unstable, reckless, unfit. They will try to isolate you. I know, Evelyn said quietly. So you will need someone the board does respect, he said. Someone with enough clout to make them think twice. Let me guess, she said. You are volunteering. Of course I am, he said. I have money tied up in Rockefeller Holdings. I do not intend to let incompetence or internal sabotage wipe out my investment. So I am an investment. Right now. He met her gaze steadily. Yes. The honesty surprised her more than any pretty line could have. I am also not in the habit of partnering with fools, he said. And you are not one. That makes this easier. Evelyn tapped a finger against her arm. What exactly are you proposing? She asked. A formal agreement, Aries said. We cooperate. I provide resources, legal teams, and strategic cover. You provide information I cannot get anywhere else, and you let me know where the real cracks are before they become earthquakes. I am not going to hand you my family's secrets on a silver platter, she warned. I do not need the silver platter, he said. I just need enough to keep this ship from sinking while I am still on it. He paused, then added, and I want one more thing. She narrowed her eyes. Here we go. I want you, he said simply, in the room. Heat climbed up her neck in spite of herself. In the room, she repeated. At board meetings, he clarified. In negotiations. When the vultures come circling. I want everyone to see who they are really dealing with, not the version of you they built in their heads. Evelyn let out a breath she had not realized she was holding. When I am 21, she said, I can take my seat officially. Until then, the board will say I am too young. Then we give them no choice, Aries said. We build you a record they cannot argue with. He stepped closer, close enough that she could see the faint shadow of stubble on his jaw, the calm certainty in his eyes. This is not charity, he said. This is a business decision. I get a strong ally in a volatile company. You get someone who can block certain moves before they hit you. And if I say no, she asked. He shrugged. Then I still go after the leak on my end. I still protect my interests. But I do it around you instead of with you. That would be a waste. The challenge hung between them. Evelyn thought of the rooftop. Of her parents in an orange jumpsuit in a courtroom they had not deserved to step into. Of Lily screaming that she believed her. She thought of Cecilia's almost flawless performance, of Nicholas's patient lies. She could not afford to turn away from any advantage. Fine, she said. We do it your way. For now. Aries' mouth curved again, a flash of approval in his eyes. Good, he said. Welcome to the game, Evelyn. She lifted her chin. Just remember, she said. I am not a pawn. I am not even a knight. I am the player sitting across from you. He held her gaze, something like respect flickering across his features. I know, he said softly. That is why I am here. The alliance with Aries started quietly. There was no dramatic signing of documents, no handshakes in front of cameras. Instead, there were late-night phone calls and encrypted emails, folders slid across polished tables in private meeting rooms, brief glances exchanged across board presentations. Aries' legal team sent over a list of shell companies connected to a few suspicious suppliers. Evelyn compared that list to her memories and felt her stomach drop. One of those shell companies was the same name Nicholas had used in her last life, when he helped her father restructure debts. Another was linked to Cecilia's mother. They are not just after one patent, Evelyn told Lily as they sat in a coffee shop near school, textbooks open between them. They are after everything. Control of the board. Control of the brand. The Rockefeller name without the Rockefellers attached. Okay, creepy, Lily said. What is the plan? Expose them, Evelyn said. But on my terms. Her father had built the company's reputation on a line of health supplements inspired by an old family formula. It was their signature product, the one rivals had tried and failed to replicate for years. In her last life, she had found out too late that Cecilia's mother had stolen fragments of that formula, sold a cheap imitation through Nicholas's contacts, and then blamed Evelyn's parents for the resulting safety scandal. This time, Evelyn fed them bait. She left a notebook carelessly open in the study one afternoon, formulas written in neat lines across the page. Cecilia's mother, passing by with tea, could not resist glancing down. Working hard, dear, she asked. On something that might save the company in a few years, Evelyn replied. If it works. She shut the notebook with a snap and took it upstairs. Later that night, she left a different notebook in the safe, one with a slightly altered version of the formula, balanced delicately wrong in a way that would not hurt anyone, but would ensure any product made from it would fail to deliver results. The system logs Heiress had helped her set up flagged a midnight intrusion into the safe. When she checked the footage, she saw Cecilia's mother's silhouette in the glow of the security lamp, fingers trembling as she copied down the numbers. Got you, Evelyn whispered. Within weeks, a new small company launched online, promising a miracle supplement with suspiciously familiar branding. Its registered address matched one of the shell companies on Heiress's list. Evelyn barely had to lift a finger. Customers flooded review sites with complaints. Tastes wrong. No effect. Side effects. The tiny company tried to hide behind fake positive reviews, but the damage spread. Then Evelyn called a press conference. She stood at the podium with her parents at her side, cameras flashing, board members perched nervously in the front row. Heiress sat further back, expression unreadable, hands loosely folded. I have called you all here today, Evelyn began, because someone tried to steal from my family, from our company, and from our customers. She projected screenshots of the imitation product behind her, then overlaid them with the altered formula from her notebook. This copycat brand, she said, used a flawed imitation of our proprietary formula, obtained through illegal access to our home systems. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. She clicked again. A web of arrows and names appeared on screen. Shell companies, bank accounts, transfers. Here are the corporate entities behind that brand, she said. And here is the money trail that connects them to people inside our own house. The first name flashed on the screen. Cecilia's mother. Gasps erupted. The second name flashed. Cecilia White. In the front row, Cecilia's face went paper white. That is a lie, she shouted, jumping to her feet. You forged that. You have always hated us. You are jealous that people like me more than you. Camera lenses swung toward her. Microphones picked up every word. Evelyn kept her voice calm. There are timestamps, security footage, and signed contracts, she said. If anyone believes I forged all of that, I welcome an independent investigation. We will cooperate fully. She stepped aside. Her father, shaking but furious, took the microphone and announced that Cecilia's mother had been removed from any position connected to the company, pending legal action. Cecilia tried to rush the stage. Security blocked her. She turned on Evelyn instead. You did this, she hissed. You tricked us. You stole from us, Evelyn said. I just turned on the lights. Behind them, Heiress leaned toward a board member and murmured something. The man nodded slowly, eyes never leaving the scene. The first crack in Cecilia's perfect mask had become a fissure visible to everyone. Nicholas did not take long to show his hand. That evening, he barged into Evelyn's office, face twisted with anger. You humiliated Cecilia in front of the entire industry, he snarled. Do you have any idea how much damage you did? Evelyn looked up from the contracts she was reviewing. Not enough, she said. Yet. He slammed his hands down on her desk. You think you are so smart now, playing CEO. But you are still a scared little girl, who does not understand the game. You need me. No, she said. I really do not. His gaze burned. You will regret this, he whispered. Maybe, Evelyn replied. But I am pretty sure you will regret underestimating me first. The threat came 2 days later. Lily did not show up for class. She did not answer calls. Her location sharing pinged from an abandoned warehouse on the edge of the city, then went dark. Evelyn's blood ran cold. Her last life crashed over her in a wave. Lily's name on the news, the crash, the way police had called it an accident. Not this time. She forwarded the last text Lily had sent her to Heiress. Meet you after school, evil queen. Do not sell my soul for extra credit before I get there. Heiress called within seconds. Where are you? He asked. School, Evelyn said. Lily is missing. Her phone went dark near Pier 12. Stay put, he said. Do not go alone. I am not staying, she snapped. They killed her last time because of me. I am not waiting around while they try again. There was a pause. Send me the location, Heiress said. I will meet you there. The warehouse smelled like rust and oil and something metallic under the damp. Evelyn kept to the shadows as she moved along the side, heart pounding so loudly she was sure it would give her away. Police cruisers waited several blocks away, and her orders to move in only on Heiress's signal. The plan was simple. Let the kidnappers believe they were in control. Get a confession. Catch them on camera. Inside, voices echoed off concrete. Told you she would come if we dangled the friend, a man said. Girl like that, loyalty is her weak spot. Shut up, a woman hissed. Tie the other one tighter. If she screams again, I will make sure she never screams at all. Lily's muffled protest cut through the air. Evelyn's fingers clenched around the tiny camera pinned to her coat. Heiress had insisted she wear it. Insurance, he had called it. Now it streamed live to a private server, where his tech team prepared to push one button and make it public. She slipped through a side door left carelessly ajar. Her footsteps echoed as she stepped into the center of the warehouse. Nicholas emerged from the shadows. He wore a black coat over a suit, hair slicked back, expression composed. Only his eyes gave him away. They glittered with excitement, the same way they had on the rooftop. I knew you would not stay away, he said. Behind him, Lily was tied to a chair, tape over her mouth, eyes blazing. Bruises darkened her cheek. Cecilia stood beside her, dress ruined, hair a mess, fury etched in every line of her body. Well, Evelyn said, forcing her voice to stay level. Here I am. Cecilia took a step forward, knife glinting in her hand. You think you are clever, she spat. You think exposing Mother and ruining our plan makes you untouchable. But the board does not trust you. The media thinks you are unstable. All we have to do is push a little harder. She gestured at Lily. An accident, Cecilia said. A tragic incident that sends you spiraling. You lose control. You lash out. Maybe you turn violent. Nicholas and I just happen to be there, trying to calm you down, when you snap. Nicholas smiled. The narrative writes itself, he said. The broken heiress and her dead friend. Headlines for weeks. Evelyn took another step into the light. You really cannot imagine a story where I win, can you? She said softly. Cecilia snarled. Shut up. She lunged. A gunshot cracked through the air. Concrete dust rained down from the ceiling as a bullet buried itself in the wall inches from Cecilia's hand. She froze. From the shadows above, red dots flickered to life, settling on Nicholas's chest, Cecilia's arm, the two hired thugs lurking near the door. Drop the knife, a voice boomed through a speaker. Hands where we can see them. Police. This location is surrounded. Cecilia's eyes went wild. You set us up, she whispered. You set yourselves up, Evelyn said. I just made sure the cameras were rolling. She tapped the pin on her coat. The tiny lens glinted. This is live, she added. Say hi to the world. Nicholas's face drained of color. One of the thugs panicked and raised his gun. A second shot rang out. The weapon flew from his hand as he screamed, dropping to his knees. Police surged in through doors and windows, shouting commands. In seconds, Nicholas and Cecilia were on the ground, hands behind their heads, faces pressed to dirty concrete. Lily sobbed behind her gag. Evelyn darted forward, ignoring the officer who shouted for her to wait. She ripped the tape from Lily's mouth and saw raw skin underneath. Are you okay? Evelyn asked. Lily laughed shakily. Define okay. Evelyn's hands shook as she untied the ropes. I am so sorry, she whispered. I should have seen this coming sooner. I should have. Hey, Lily cut in, voice hoarse. We are both alive. That is already better than whatever nightmare timeline you saw in your head. Evelyn froze. Lily smirked weakly. You talk in your sleep sometimes, you know. Something about falling, about me dying, about doing it all over again. I figured you either need a therapist or a time machine. Evelyn's throat closed. I got the second one, she said. Kind of. Lily squeezed her hand. Good, she said. Use it. Officers hauled Cecilia and Nicholas to their feet. One of the detectives read them their rights, voice steady, while another officer held up a tablet. On the screen, the live stream replayed their threats, their plan, their own words. This is manipulation, Nicholas snarled. You cannot use that in court. She lured us here. She set us up. You kidnapped a minor and attempted to coerce a confession through violence, the detective replied. And you confessed to planning a previous murder on a live feed. I think the judge will be interested. You do not understand, Cecilia hissed at Evelyn as they dragged her past. You think you have won. But the board, the press, everyone, they need people like us. We know how to play the victim. We know how to spin. Her words cut off as an officer shoved her toward the exit. Evelyn watched them go, heart smashing against her ribs. Relief and fury warred inside her. She had wanted this moment for so long that now, standing in the middle of it, she almost felt hollow. A hand settled lightly on her shoulder. Breathe, Heiress said quietly. She realized he stood beside her, bulletproof vest visible under his coat, headset still in place. You are shaking, he added. Adrenaline, she said. And rage. Mostly rage. You did well, he said. You kept your head. You got what you needed. I did not do it alone, she said. You set up the stream. You brought the police. I invested in the right person, he replied. That is all. She turned to look at him. Do you regret it, she asked. Working with me? Getting pulled into this mess? His mouth curved slightly. Not yet, he said. And I do not think I will. The trials dragged on for months. Every day, headlines screamed about the Rockefeller case. Clips from the warehouse stream replayed on news shows. Commentators dissected every expression on Evelyn's face, every tremor in Cecilia's voice, every smirk from Nicholas as he tried to charm the jury. It did not work. The prosecution laid out a pattern of behavior that was impossible to ignore. Financial fraud, attempted murder, conspiracy, kidnapping. Cecilia's mother fled the country, only to be dragged back in handcuffs at an airport halfway across the world. Lily testified calmly and clearly, her voice cracking only once, when she described the fear of waking up tied to a chair. Evelyn took the stand too. She described the rooftop, the betrayal, the years of gaslighting and manipulation. For a moment, as she spoke, she felt the world tilt again, as if she were falling. But then she met her parents' eyes in the front row, saw the way her mother gripped her father's hand, saw Heiress sitting a few rows back, expression steady and grounding. She did not fall. When the verdict came, the courtroom exploded. Guilty on all major counts. Nicholas and Cecilia were sentenced to decades in prison. Their assets, built on stolen work and blood money, were seized. Their names became shorthand in tabloids for greed and downfall. Online, people tagged Evelyn in posts calling her the Phoenix Heiress, the girl who had dragged her monsters into the light and watched them burn. She shut her notifications off and went back to work. A year later, the Rockefeller Company looked very different. Several board members who had turned a blind eye to corruption were gone, replaced by people with cleaner records and sharper minds. Heiress officially joined as a strategic partner, his investment securing key projects that kept the company ahead of competitors. Evelyn spent more time in meeting rooms than at parties. She negotiated contracts, launched new lines, and pushed for stricter oversight and transparency. She also went to class, graduated near the top of her year, and got accepted into a business program she actually wanted, not the one that had once been chosen for her. At night, she went home to a house that felt lighter. No more whispered conversations in hallways. No more fake smiles over dinner. Just her parents, tired, but healing, and Lily raiding their fridge, laughing as if she owned the place. On the anniversary of her rooftop death, she stood on the terrace again. The sky was clear this time. The city glittered, but the wind was gentle, warm against her skin. You okay up here? Heiress asked, stepping out onto the terrace behind her. He had shit his tie and loosened his collar, the faint scars on his knuckles catching the light when he brushed a hand through his hair. I am not jumping, if that is what you are worried about, Evelyn said. Good, he replied. I would hate to have to drag you back up by your hair. She laughed, the sound surprising them both. You know, she said, in my first life, I thought you were a vulture. I was, he said. I circled your company looking for weaknesses. And now, she asked. He stepped closer, gaze steady. Now I am invested, he said. In more than the company. Her heart skipped. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. She stared at it, then at him. Heiress, she said slowly. If that is what I think it is. It is not an acquisition contract, he said. I promise. He opened the box. Inside, a ring caught the city lights, stone cut in a clean, sharp line that reminded her of skyscrapers and chess pieces. I was going to wait for a dramatic family dinner, he said. But you hate surprises, and I know you like to plan your moves. She swallowed. I am not a prize you win, she said softly. I know, he replied. You are a player. I am asking if you want to keep playing this game with me, as my partner, in business, in whatever comes next. The wind tugged at her hair. In another life, she had said yes to a man on a rooftop and fallen to her death. In this one, she had climbed back up with her own hands. She looked at Heiress, at the man who had offered her a deal, but never tried to clip her wings, who had challenged her, argued with her, and stood beside her when the world turned ugly. She smiled. Fine, she said, but we negotiate terms. He have to laugh. Of course we do. First, she said, holding out her hand, no more secrets that affect both of us. We share information, even when it is uncomfortable. Agreed, he said, sliding the ring onto her finger. Second, she said, if either of us ever starts to act like Nicholas, the other has full permission to smack us with a reality check. That one is for your own safety, he replied. And third, she added, I keep my last name. Rockefeller and Morgan, he said, side by side on the masthead. I would not have it any other way. She looked down at the ring. It felt heavy, but not like a shackle. More like a piece on a board she had chosen for herself. Then I guess, she said, this is my answer. She rose on her toes and kissed him. The city sprawled beneath them, uncaring and vast. Somewhere out there, people still whispered about her downfall and her revenge. She let them. Her life was no longer a tragedy someone else had written. It was a game she had rewritten from the first move. When they finally pulled apart, Heiress rested his forehead against hers. Happy second chance, he murmured. Evelyn smiled, eyes bright. Happy checkmate, she said.
Thanks for watching. Follow for more romance stories.